Did you know KLM Asia is a thing, or rather is still a thing? There is a fascinating story behind it, and a mystery I am unable to figure out, but more on that later in the video. Aviation geeks and frequent flyers, welcome to this new episode of our flight review series Brutally Honest, where we've made it our mission to provide the most information-packed, detailed flight reviews on YouTube. While we've made it our goal to showcase as many different airlines on our channel as possible, including lots of lesser-known carriers, we must not disregard the big guys. We've done plenty of reports on KLM's economy class over the years, and even an episode of our narrated review series Brutally Honest back in 2021, when we took their Airbus A330 on a trip from Amsterdam via Edmonton to Calgary. Today, as the pandemic-era limitations on in-flight service have come to an end at most airlines, we're once again flying through Amsterdam on a long-haul economy class flight on KLM, from the quaint Austrian town of Graz all the way to the megacity that is Shanghai. I'm glad you've decided to join us on this trip, so let's see what flying KLM is like nowadays. We're starting our journey at an airport which, by the time you watch this video, unfortunately isn't in KLM's network anymore. Their routes to Graz, as well as to Dresden and Sandefjord, have been terminated in anticipation of the Dutch government's cap on flight movements at Schiphol Airport. And that's particularly sad because Graz and the area around it is truly a marvelous part of Europe to visit, one that's not as overrun with tourists as many others. So if you're looking for tranquil villages, breathtaking scenery, and most importantly, excellent white wines, I highly recommend you plan a trip to southern Austria and maybe even include Slovenia, which is a hidden gem on its own. I love flying from smaller airports though, as they're so much less stressful. The terminal of Graz Airport was built in the early 2000s and holds up really well. And I also love the airport's sizable outdoor terrace. After a super quick and easy check-in and security procedure, it was off to the gate. Over there you can see our Embraer 190 that has just landed. Taking us to Amsterdam today is Papa Hotel Echo X-Ray Yankee, built in 2018 and one of 65 Embraer planes in KLM's fleet if you include their 175s and newer E2s. Another great thing about small airports is how everything is so fast. Deboarding was just done and we're already on our way to board. After a mere 50-second bus ride, we arrived at our plane. Having been delivered only in 2018, it has a state-of-the-art short-haul cabin, back here with Recaro's SL3710 seats installed in a 2-2 configuration. The seats don't come with adjustable headrests, but being 180 centimeters tall, they do have phenomenal legroom for a regional jet. Each passenger is also blessed with a personal USB-A port, a feature which I appreciate greatly on short-haul planes, where it's still not too common. The seats also have small tray tables, cup holders, and coat hooks. These E190s also come with personal overhead lights and adjustable air vents. The front couple of rows feature the better Recaro BL3510 seats with adjustable headrests and some more legroom, which you can request to be assigned free of charge at check-in should they still be available.
Welkom terug. Onze vliegtuur vandaag bedraagt 1 uur en 45 minuten. Over enkele ogenblikken vertellen wij u iets meer over de veiligheidsinstructies aan boord van dit toestel. Switching off the fasten seatbelt signs. However, we recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened well in your seat. If you would like to collect your personal belongings, please be careful, as items may have moved during takeoff and could fall out. Please keep an eye on your electronic devices while charging. Remove the cable from the
After this beautiful climb out of Graz, the crew started in-flight service. Air France and KLM are some of the few airlines left in Europe to still offer complimentary beverages and a snack on short-haul flights. Today, the choice was between banana bread or this cheese and mustard sandwich, alongside which I also went with a cup of water and some coffee. And with that little device holder integrated into the tray table, man, that is a truly fantastic short-haul flight.
Passagiers, welkom in Amsterdam. Blijft u alsjeblieft nog even zitten met uw stoelriem gesloten. Namens de gehele bemanning, dank u wel dat u voor KLM heeft gekozen. We wensen u nog een hele fijne dag en graag nog eens tot ziens.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Now comes the part I'm dreading the most, transiting at Schiphol. I personally try to avoid this airport as much as I can, but the deal I snatched for today's journey was just too good to pass up on. Air France KLM's frequent flyer program Flying Blue offers monthly discount deals for certain routes on tickets booked with miles, and they often have fantastic economy class deals. Today, I only paid 12,400 miles plus 165 euros in taxes and fees, which is a bargain. That's why I always recommend you sign up for frequent flyer programs even if you don't travel too frequently, as sometimes you can earn just enough miles for these discounted trips. Two more things. You can also earn miles on Flying Blue, for example through booking accommodations via booking.com, where you get 2 Flying Blue miles for each euro spent. And what I particularly love about Flying Blue is that the short-haul connections into Amsterdam and Paris for those long-haul flights are free. So whether I book from Amsterdam to Shanghai or Vienna to Shanghai or from a tiny airport like Graz, the route costs the same amount of miles. Anyway, for this good of a deal, I'm more than willing to suffer through a transit at Schiphol Airport. The key reason why the airport is so bothersome is its layout, as all passenger flows converge in this central part of the terminal, resulting in some annoyingly crowded sections. Furthermore, walking distances can be quite big. Today's transit was 1.2 kilometers, and while I don't take an issue in that, I know passengers with reduced mobility are going to have a hard time in Amsterdam. But here we are, KL 895 into Shanghai Pudong. Did you know all of KLM's flight numbers to China have the number 8 in it? Shanghai is 895, Beijing is 897, Taipei is 807, and Hong Kong got the coveted number 888. That's because the number 8 is a lucky number in Chinese mythology, as its name sounds similar to the word for prosperity, and the number 88 slightly resembles the character for double joy. Meanwhile, the number 4 is an unlucky number, as it sounds like death, which is why the number doesn't appear in any of KLM's flight numbers to China. This will be our ride to Shanghai today. Papa Hotel Bravo Quebec Kilo, a 2005 built 777-200. Ours, like this one at a neighboring gate, is labeled as KLM Asia. So KLM is the last overseas carrier to still have an Asia division. Back in the 1990s, when China and Taiwan refused to allow airlines flying to one of them to also fly to the other, a lot of airlines established second carriers to circumvent these rules. There was a Swiss Air Asia, an Air France Asie, a British Asia Airways, and so on. But with these restrictions lifted a long time ago, all airlines gradually got rid of their Asia divisions with the exception of KLM. I tried very hard to figure out why they did not just keep it, but even still deliberately kept it around when they got a new livery in recent years. And while researching, I stumbled on a lot of wild theories that don't hold up and plenty of poorly researched blog posts that simply contain factual inaccuracies, such as this one by Simple Flying. While also not answering the question as to why KLM Asia is still a thing nowadays, they claim that KLM Asia planes never operate flights into mainland China. Well, okay. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that changed after they published the article. How difficult would it have been for them to fact-check this claim? Well, simply go to any plane spotting website, put in KLM Asia, mainland China, and let's pick like the 2000s. And voila! KLM Asia planes have been operating to both mainland China and Taiwan for a long time, like for decades. And that makes it even harder to answer the question as to why it still exists today, because it doesn't seem to make a difference. So I did the last thing I thought would help me. I reached out to KLM and asked them. And I kid you not, the press department referenced that Simple Flying article and told me they don't have anything to add to that. You know, the article that has stuff in it that's just wrong, which they likely took from Wikipedia, because there it also says that KLM Asia planes don't fly to mainland China, which is not and has not been true for at least 20 years. So, while we are unable to get a reliable answer as to why KLM Asia is still around in 2024, let's focus on what we do know. KLM Asia branded planes also do not reference the Dutch monarchy. The abbreviation KLM stands for Koninklijke Luchtvaartmaatschappij, which translated basically means Royal Dutch Airlines. And that is an officially approved title by the Dutch royal family. With KLM Asia having been a different legal entity back in the days, they were not able to use the word royal and also omitted the crown in its logo. Instead, you may find this company name written in traditional Chinese characters, i.e. in the kind of written Chinese common in Taiwan and Hong Kong, that says Netherlands Asia Airways. KLM Asia currently has a fleet of 9 777s, 7-200s, and 2-300ERs. However, these planes are registered in the Netherlands to the Dutch KLM holding company, only operate with KL flight numbers, KLM crews, and operate flights to Taiwan, mainland China, and elsewhere, so they're like any other KLM plane. Inside, there is absolutely no difference between KLM Asia airplanes and other KLM planes, and the service is exactly the same as on other KLM flights. And since KLM also operates their regular non-Asia branded planes to mainland China as well as Taiwan, I fail to see any point as to why the brand is still around. In the end, I thought it might simply be a brand recognition thing in Taiwan. But nope, KLM's Taiwanese website shows the regular logo with a crown and the title Royal Dutch Airlines. After at least 6 hours of research, for all I can tell, KLM Asia only still exists as a livery. If I'm wrong in that, or if you know why they keep this livery and brand around, please let me know in the comments, because I'm genuinely curious. Anyway, after this lengthy tangent, it's time to board our flight. KLM's Boeing 777-200s feature Collins Aerospace Diamond parallel seats up front in business class, with economy class having an economy comfort section up front with better legroom. The 343 configured coach section features Recaro's CL3710 seats. Each seat comes with a headrest, adjustable vertically, on the sides, and down here for some extra neck support. Waiting on our seat were a blanket and a pillow. Being 180 centimeters tall, the legroom is surprisingly good. I'm very impressed actually. There's also a standard seat back pocket, as well as a tray table which can be half opened or fully opened. And Recaro's classic high literature pocket, above which you'll find an adjustable entertainment screen with a USB-A port and an audio port at the bottom. In addition to a coat hook up here, there are also universal power outlets down there. Personal reading lights are installed in the ceiling, but unfortunately no air vents. By the way, the crown logo is alive and well inside the cabin, adding to my general confusion about the KLM Asia brand. With that, it's finally time to head out to China.
Passagiers zijn beurzen aan boord van deze KLM-vlucht naar Shanghai. En nogmaals namens de gehele bemanning hartelijk welkom aan boord van deze vlucht. En een bijzonder welkom aan onze Flying Blue deelnemers. Zo dadelijk volgt de video over...
After takeoff, the crew handed out half-liter bottles of water, some refreshing towels, and complimentary pairs of headphones. The earbuds are pretty standard and similar to what you'll find on other airlines. Particularly the bottled water I appreciate, a really thoughtful gesture. Shortly after, a hot meal was offered for dinner with 2 main courses available, either chicken or pasta. I chose the pasta, which ended up being a vegetarian penne arrabbiata with cheese. The meal also included a warm bread roll fresh from the oven, a piece of cheese, and this tapas box with olives, some kind of bell pepper cream, and tomatoes with goat's cheese. Alongside that, I went with a can of beer, and I highly appreciate KLM also offering non-alcoholic beer. And don't you dare hate on non-alcoholic beer, that stuff's great. Y'all won't ever see me turn into one of those drunk, unruly people on planes, I promise you that. Overall, this was an impressively pleasant meal. Each element was tasty and of high quality. Compared to my last long-haul journey with them in 2021, today's meal is a visible improvement thanks to the addition of a warm bread roll and cheese, as well as the higher quality appetizer. You might have noticed dessert is missing. That's offered afterwards, alongside tea or coffee. A little gingerbread apple pie. As the lights were dimmed and we're getting ready for the night, let's have a look at what the Inflight entertainment system has to offer. Aboard their new and refurbished planes, KLM boasts the widespread Panasonic X3 entertainment system. A good variety of movies is available, which you can search for by both release date and genre. TV shows are offered too, with some of them being available as multi-episode box sets. Or you may opt for some music or games too. A dedicated children's section is available as well, just like an interactive mapping application. Our plane is also equipped with in-flight Wi-Fi, and you may use text messaging on apps like WhatsApp or WeChat for free. Other packages range from €8 for an hour up to €30 for high-speed streaming the entire flight. The bathroom feels a bit retro with these mirrors, but it's spotlessly clean and comes with features such as changing tables with a cute sticker hidden behind it. I also love how KLM has stickers next to the doors with the name and registration of the plane. They are very thorough in giving each of their planes a name. 777-200s like ours are named after World Heritage Sites. -300s are national parks, while Dreamliners are flowers, A330s are famous squares and plazas, and 737s are just birds. After a couple of hours of sleep, the cabin lights slowly came back on and the crew started with breakfast service. The main item was a warm apple pastry, which was served alongside some sweet yogurt, a cup of fresh fruit, as well as beverages of your choice, where I went with some coffee and orange juice. KLM has a fairly unique route network, as they still heavily focus on routes with stopovers. Back in 2021, we flew via Edmonton to Calgary, for example, which ended up being a bit of a headache, but see for yourself in that video if you're interested. They also do routes like Jakarta via Kuala Lumpur and Denpasar via Singapore, which we've covered a long time ago in the trip report as well, and Manila via Taipei, among others. This gives KLM a pretty enormous intercontinental route network, which is certainly the airline's biggest asset. For example, on my flight today, I saw so many Latin American passports during boarding, with people holding tickets from various destinations in South America. There were passengers coming in from Buenos Aires, Sao Paulo, Santiago de Chile, Lima, Quito, Bogotá, Cartagena, Panama City, and more. If you look at the map, transiting in Amsterdam when flying from South America to China is surprisingly convenient. That leaves the question, is KLM's economy class product suitable for such long-winded journeys? Directly compared to my experience in 2021, KLM has certainly improved a bit, especially in the catering department. Back then, I also ended up on one of their last remaining unrefurbished A330s, and as far as I can tell, most, if not all of their planes should feature their newer cabin by now, which brings additional improvements in terms of in-flight entertainment and seat features. With some small details though, I am left a bit puzzled by. I highly appreciate the little towel in the beginning, but it would be such a small extra step to warm them up and make them a hot towel. It wouldn't really cost them anything, and I think this tiny change would give their economy class a bit more of a premium feeling. I also, and that's just a personal preference, wouldn't have served two sweet things with apple in it back to back. An apple cake thing for dessert and then an apple pastry for breakfast. In general, I prefer savory over sweet, so if it was up to me, I would have changed the main item of the breakfast service to a warm savory breakfast pastry, such as an egg and cheese sandwich or a ham and cheese ciabatta. And overall, while KLM is a nice airline, it's kind of bland. The cabin, the colors, the corporate identity, the meals, they all leave such little impression. And that becomes even more apparent when you look at their sister airline Air France. The meals are much more diverse, the French champagne on board, the painfully French safety video, the cute little quirks they incorporate into their service. Air France just feels so much more French than KLM feels Dutch. And that leaves it as a massive intercontinental carrier with not much of a soul. If I was left with a choice between KLM or Air France, because tickets on the two often cost exactly the same as they are a joint company that does joint ticket pricing, if they cost the same, I would honestly rather choose to fly with Air France. But that in no way means KLM is a bad airline. On the contrary, they're actually very good, particularly their new economy class seats and meals. So as long as you don't expect any unique, over-the-top, rememberable service elements, KLM will be a fine choice too. With that, welcome to Shanghai's Pudong International Airport. We'll continue on from Shanghai down to Shenzhen in a few days on Chinese carrier Juneyao aboard their Boeing 787 Dreamliner, and we also have an upcoming video about long-haul economy class aboard one of those 777s of China Eastern Airlines. So if you don't want to miss these or many of our other upcoming videos, make sure you are subscribed to our channel. We also want to extend special thanks to our channel members who financially support our work. Thanks to your help, we can focus on making our content as useful and detailed as possible and not have to chase the virality of social media like lots of other creators these days. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for supporting our mission, and if you are interested in contributing as well, our lowest tier starts at just €2 per month, which is just €24 per year. Simply click the join button beneath this video or on our channel page to learn more. Whether you are a channel sponsor, a subscriber, or simply stopping by for this one video, thank you very much for watching. In the meantime, why not take a look at this report of my truly odd journey on Air China from Seoul via Beijing to Vienna, and what makes them both a pretty good airline, but also a slightly bizarre one.